And I guess when I think about, what you all do, and same thing when I'm teaching to people, on to that level, there are a couple of things that we can do to like manage ourselves, and you can call it like almost like you reorganizing or restructuring your mindset, your perspective, how do you think, how do you see everything. And one of the thing when we are in that this sort of situation, you see, because you're constantly busy and there is like the time for the self-care is not really there as much as generally or normally you and me or anyone would like to have. And then whenever those thoughts crop in and sort of going in your head, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, or am I doing this good enough, am I doing it enough, the guilt that plays in our mind, it's almost like you're already doing so much, and on top of that we somehow get drawn into this guilt. Now the guilt can be, I guess, that it's your own thinking. Sometimes guilt can also be the way people projecting on us, and sometimes people make some taunts, comments. We do live in a society where everything get measured in material fruits, like how much money you earn, how big house you have, and all that. But you see that the truth is, what you all do, all that is not there. It's not a paid job, it's not something you're earning, it's not something you can show your pay slip to people like, this is my certificate, because that's how society measures these days, isn't it? So when we want to restructure ourselves, I guess to me the first step is to not self-abuse. The self-harm we do, like, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Why am I thinking like this way? Why I feel like I need to run away and just go and sleep and lie down, or go and see friends and have a coffee and cake? There is a guilt in it.
Even being here today is a little bit of a guilt that, I need to get back.
So you see, the first step to me is actually accepting and a continuous reminder to yourself that you are also a human being, you are also a living being, you're not a machine, you're not a robot. And if you can accept that, half of that will be gone. So then you have to like see, well, I'm also a human being, so I might feel I need to look after myself, I need to care for myself. And when you begin to that stage of thinking, then you have to think, okay, how can I do it, isn't it? To me, I'm not really a fan of like, let's just shut our door and run away from it. That's not really appropriate way. Then you start to think, okay, how can I create a bit of time, and when I can have that time? Either you reorganizing some friends, some family, or the care system, or somebody who can come and rescue you, and whenever you're taking that rescue, actually using that time free from the guilt. To me, that's the thing. Like I've known many people, such an amazing people like you. They actually do make a time, but still back in their head, this constant beating up going on. Oh, is it the right thing for me to be here, or maybe should I have been still there? So that acceptance, isn't it? Once you accepted it, then the second step of the practice is to actually restructure our mindset, like way we think. And especially to me, one of the questions I always ask people, and you all can have a minute, is how do you see yourself? Now, I'm not talking as a carer, I'm not talking about as a mother or as in every other thing. How do you see yourself in yourself as a human being? Do you get a minute? I'm not talking about a whole day. Okay, can you create a minute or 5 minutes or a little time here and there where you sit back and see, like, okay, what do I think of myself? What do I think of myself? And that myself thinking, now is it you thinking of yourself what people think, what people say, what people see. Well, we got to let go of that. What do I see of myself? And when you do see yourself, what is the language there? What is the phrase? What is the sentence? What is the word you use? Do you use like, well, I'm a caring person? Or do you say, oh my God, my life is terrible? I don't know, I don't want to say like also. And please don't come back to the guilty. That's, if anything that crops in, you got to go back to the first statement that I am a human being and I can have all these thoughts. Because if you beat yourself up for having all other thoughts that we don't want to bring in our life, we make it worse. So we want to ease ourselves, isn't it? So to me, if you want to reorganize your life, you have to untangle from things. And when you're trying to control, or you're trying to like, I don't want to think like this. I'm sure literally we don't do it like this, but if you can hear your mind shouting in there, it feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then
moments where I've beaten myself up, but I think somewhere along the line, and I don't know if anyone else feels the same, you start to lose yourself. So you're not, it's going to make me,
yes, okay.
You're not a whole person anymore, you're just a bit of a shadow
Yeah.
of who you remember being.
A type of worries I find. I just worry about everything. Worry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
that
when,
tension, that horrible that sits, so you forget
Who you
actually
are.
the way back to you or the way forward.
So we are all, that's why we're talking here, isn't it? Or you got to make a little space, and it doesn't have to be whole day, it doesn't have to be, months and months. It can be just a minute, 5 minute, 10 minute of ads, and when you can take that time off for yourself. Now, the first is accepting yourself as a human being, so not beating yourself for those thoughts, those feelings, even if you feel like, I need to cry, I need to, somebody to talk to me, I need somebody to, give me a hug. You don't need to feel guilty about it, because you are a human being. You got to remember, always remember that you are also a living being. Yes, you want to care for somebody, you are in a situation where you're looking after somebody. You also got to do that for yourself. So the second step we're talking about, connecting with yourself, and how do you see yourself? And when you look at yourself, can we start to recreate that language? And to me, that's a big step you can take forward in your life. How do you talk about yourself? How do you think about yourself? And please trust me, thinking good about yourself is not being selfish. I know that's how we are conditioned these days. If you say, wow, look at me, I'm so great, people feel guilty about it. But the problem really, if you don't think that way, well, every time you talk to people, whatever you tell them, that's what they think about you and me, don't they? I came in here and I told you, like, I teach yoga. If you see me somewhere else, like, oh, that man teaches yoga, you may remember my name or not. To me, when I see you somewhere walking around, like, oh, I remember that lovely lady, she really looks after some. I may not remember the whole thing, but the key of your statement you made about you, that will be there. So to me, the statement we make about ourselves, we say, oh, I'm just a terrible person and I suffer with this and that. Can you see now, if not only you are rippling up into that energy, where then every time you see those people, you see they're like, how are you today? You poor thing, are you okay? How is your situation? Actually, if you think about it, the minute somebody talks to you that way, like to me, if you say, okay, Nyandev, I would really love to see you, can we meet for a cup of coffee? Now, in that cup of coffee, if you are taking a break for yourself, now think twice, okay? There are two ways. One is you want to talk to somebody to empty yourself, which means sometimes we need to talk to people because the emotions need catharsis. So if you can come and open up and as you just said, few little things, yes, you feel like a bit of like crying, but then it makes you feel lighter because you like shared how you feel with somebody else. But then the second side of it, when you really want to have good time. Now see me, if you have a good story to go with, then when you meet with somebody for a cup of coffee, all you just want to do is enjoy your coffee and talk about something that cheers you up. So the third step is actually putting more energy, more thoughts, and more of your time in things you like doing, things you enjoy. Because otherwise our life is 24/7 stuck into the same thought pattern, same energy, same feeling, same such situation. But actually it does not have to be there, does it? It's somehow we are not being able to structure ourselves, organize ourselves, and then it feels like I don't have space in my head. So to me that third step is actually you have to somewhere initiate, take those steps to be brave enough and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I don't know, maybe you just gone out for 10-minute walk. In that 10-minute walk, you go to develop that ability that I'm here to enjoy the nature, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy my feet, enjoy my arms, enjoy my smile, or when you're listening to music, when you're meeting with friends, you actually got to create what we call in yoga is known as vairagya, which is detachment. Detachment from what drains you down. Even though still you're looking after that person, you're looking after people you love, but you don't have to become that person. You don't have to become that energy 24/7. So can you all see, like actually then you start to reorganize your mindset, your own thought process, your own language, the way you talk to yourself and the way you talk to other people. Now obviously it's easy to say, okay, what I'm saying, it sounds very interesting, doesn't it? But you got to be again, come back to the point one, not to feel guilty when that is not working. It's not something that we can just like, okay, somebody told you and me to do this and it's going to work. Because if these sort of things are that easy, then everyone will be like dancing in the bliss. Our mind is very complicated. But it is also possible. You just, as long as you can keep reminding yourself. The fourth step, really simple practice. Make a list of things, little things that you really love doing. And this is where the coffee that you said, I feel guilty comes in. To me, if that coffee cheers your face up, stop feeling guilty for it. If a slice of cake or one of those chocolate biscuits, I know you can say, well, we can talk about it, they're not really healthy thing to eat. We can talk all day about it, can't we? But to me, if that one biscuit and your coffee or a slice of cake and coffee just like gives you a new breath, or just a 5-minute walk, or listening to music, or I don't know, maybe just turning loud music on and dancing with your door closed or whatever, however you do it. Those little things which actually help you lift your body, mind and your spirit, do them without feeling guilty for it. It's, to me, I do find, and including me, I'm not just talking about you all, okay, I'm talking about me too, like, we feel so much guilty about things, they don't even matter. Does it really matter if I have a cup of tea? Is it really a harmful thing? So that biggest step in your life is like, do those little things without feeling guilty about it. You're not doing any harm, are you? Just like, oh, I love my coffee. Stop beating yourself up for that. I love my cup of tea. Even like I don't actually support drinking and all that, but when I hear from somebody like, well, end of the day, I worked so hard and I love a glass of wine. To me, anything that works for you, as long as it's reasonable, as long as it's not causing more strain and burden to your system, because we have to be reasonable. We have to have that in mind. Like, to me, if somebody says, well, if I get, take all those entertaining drugs, then my life is bliss while I'm on the drugs. Yes, of course it is, but then that has side effect and consequences, isn't it? So please don't take me to that extreme, like, oh, wow, that man told me now I should do whatever no, it has to be reasonable things. But those little things, when you know that they work for you, they lift your spirit, they lift you up, find a moment to do them. And when you do them, stop feeling guilty. That is the practice again. Stop feeling guilty. Don't make yourself a victim for everything. Now the next stage, now if you want to work a bit more further, if you can do it 5 times a day, honestly, it will be blessing. If not, then 3 times. If not, then do as and when you remember. Take few minutes and breathe deep. To me, if you can work through your day and remind yourself while you're walking, while you're working, if you can sit back, and that's really a bliss. Just breathe properly. Take a few deep breaths, really expanding your lungs in all directions like a big balloon. You can just think like it's expanding like a big balloon all around you, and then breathe out and let go. You see, when you breathe deep, your mind is naturally relaxed. It's one of the psychological inbuilt in us when we are stressed, when we are feeling scared, when we are panicking. So whenever your mind is disturbed, the one thing it does, it messes up our breathing. Even people like hold on to the breath without even knowing. People don't breathe into the chest because they're too tensed. Can we breathe deep and have that? You can do your arm movement, you can do something that helps to expand it. Can we breathe deep? Next one, drinking water. Hydration. I think people who into looking after, caring people, or who have this, I call it 24/7 job, okay? Because there is no escape and there is no time when, what and how. Remind yourself to keep hydrated. Because when you're dehydrated, you see your body becomes toxic, and then that leads us into the toxic thoughts. And there are some research being published that people who are always dealing with a stressful work or stressful job, they tend to ignore or neglect drinking water and eating a proper meal. And when I say proper meal, means actually sit down and take that 10-minute, half an hour, I don't know if you slow eater or fast eater, but whatever you eat, it's not really that thing, but whatever you eat, you make a time for that meal, not eating on the go. Even if you just eat an apple for your lunch, take a seat for a few minutes and then enjoy it. There has to be a reminder for yourself, am I drinking enough water and am I eating my meals? Am I eating and drinking? And then the top of all that, one more practice. Watch your breath, watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. But can you watch your thoughts not like a victim, not like a pain, not like a suffering? Can you watch your thoughts like you're just sitting in front of a, standing by a river and you're seeing the river flowing? The waves, the ups and downs and everything, it seems to be, I'm talking about a wild river, okay, river really wild, and you know that if you fall into it, even if you are a good swimmer, there is no hope. But when you're standing away from it, it looks so beautiful, doesn't it? Like so mesmerizing. So can we do that with our thoughts? Or can we watch them like a bird flying in the sky? When you see that bird, do you want to control it? Do you want to hold it? Do you want to put it in a case? Now we see the most of this inner pain, it comes because we're trying to control everything. It's just so powerful practice to do, and you don't need to actually change anything in yourself. If you can just begin to, because the minute you watch them without being victim, they're gone. All the negative thoughts, the negative feelings, emotions, they just somehow disappear. What feeds into them is control. I don't want them, I don't like them. I hate to be like this. Do you know your mind does not like that word no and stop? You know that tray of biscuits is there, and hopefully none of us are thinking about them. But if somebody puts a sign there, or one of you or me say, well, I'm afraid to say none of you are allowed to touch those biscuits. You know what happens next?
You want one, don't you?
You want one, and then you're making all the stories. Why did he say that? Does he not like me? Does he like me? Does he think that? Or same other way around. But if you're not saying anything about it, it's there. You see, it's just there, sitting there. And if I want to eat it, I will eat it. If I don't want to eat it, I don't eat it. But the minute one of you say, just to let you know, Mr. Nyandev, I got these biscuits, but they are not for you. Don't you dare touch them. I will be so angry. And I can tell you, half of this beating up, we call it inner beating up, is because of that. If you stop saying that way and find a nicer way to deal and talk to yourself. Things that you don't want to do, please explain even to yourself like a child. Why do you not want to do it? The minute you just say, no. The thing I remember, and then I will stop here and then I will listen all of you for a few minutes. You see, I don't know why people do this sort of thing, but there was a research study done in Oxford University a few years ago to see that how our mind falls prey to the no. So they rented this like a studio kind of soap or whatever you call it on the base, on the floor, on one of the busy street in Oxford, and they really decorated the studio, the room nicely, and it has a big window like this, and everyone walked past every day, and they put the camera there and they counted like how many people stop and look into the window. So the first 2 weeks there were like between 10 to 15% people will take a peek through the window, and it's also not like maybe they're doing consciously or not, but the camera noticed that around 10% people will turn their head to look into the window. And then for the next 2 weeks they put a sign into the window, can you please not look? And it changed to 80% people. And he said out of those 80% people, actually 60% people took a pause to see what's happening. And the only sign that changed was, can you please not look? The minute you say don't look, there's something exciting or something that people don't want me to know, isn't it? But that same thing with us. The minute you say can't have it, don't have it, unless you explain it. And the two ways to do the practice, the one you begin to actually make a time as and when you, especially when you're feeling like something is drowning you in, let's watch it for a minute. See, what am I going through? But don't become the victim of it. The practice is to be witness, like the river, or like the birds, like the flowers, like the nature, like the sea, like the sky. Or the second thing, you retrain or re-educate yourself. Then instead of just saying, I cannot have the biscuit, then you may add few more sentences like, oh, I'm working on, I don't know, maybe losing some calories, losing some sugar or whatever. Then you put another sentence, another reward to it, then like it empowers it, doesn't it? So if you say to, like sometimes I do it with kids, I say like, guys, let's not eat biscuits today because we're going to make a special meal. It's easy to work on it. If I just, honestly, when I come out, if I just would have told them like, today you are strictly not allowed to touch biscuits. And I can tell you if there are biscuits. And now I'm talking about the little kids, not only the grown-ups, but also the little kids. The minute you say no, and this negative psychology, when I want them to do something and they don't want, I have tried it other way around. I just tell them like, guys, please don't do this today. And they will do it. So these are some of the little steps, and you can add so many more to it. And I call it investment in self. Invest in yourself. You got to make that time to invest in yourself in small things. Do those small things and stop feeling guilty. Stop feeling guilty because you are doing your best. I think I must stop now. So let's hear everybody and then I will walk away. If not, then keep smiling. And that's great.
It is interesting though, it's like say if you go shopping, say if you're in, I don't know, in a clothes shop or something, and you're in there one day and you see you've got no money, and you think, oh, I want that, I like that, that's nice. And then you go in there one day and you've got a pocket full of money. Well, I don't really fancy anything, don't really fancy that, because you can't have it. Has anyone else done that then? Yeah. So that's weird, but I don't know why are human beings like that? It's like that, and I say, yeah, we can all have one, not really bothered. But if you say no, you'll think, well, why not then? Why can't I have it? Why am I being stopped from having that? But why are we like that? I don't understand.
Well, one of the reasons is because the way our life at the moment is, there's so much rejection in our life, and we're not being trained properly, we're not being educated properly, you see.
It's a grab thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Like people can say, oh, you can't have biscuit, but nobody's actually telling us, why can I not have it?
Yeah.
Or people are telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that. So that almost like a rejection in our mind without the education. And when there is no proper education given to us, but somebody is dictating, it's almost like a dictatorship then. Like schools work like that. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you can't talk while I'm teaching, you can, and there's no explanation to it, like why can I not talk, why can I not make noise, why can I not run around, why can I not do what I want to do? So actually there is this constant dictatorship, and also the second thing is rejection. Like, honestly, like one of the things our modern life that we carry, almost like the appreciation and approval does not exist anymore. Wherever we are, whatever we do, our compare points are way ahead. So even if you get where you want to get, then you're still looking miles ahead, like, oh, I'm not there yet. And then that then puts our mind off, that puts our mentality always into that. And then yes, the build up of the mind is another thing that we can work for a whole month. It's just a long thing to study.